We all claim to want deep, authentic connection, but when real intimacy is actually within reach, we often reflexively pull back to protect ourselves from judgment. In that moment of self-protection, we unknowingly sabotage the very relationship we're trying to build. Consider Alex and Jamie. They are at the start of a new relationship, both genuinely seeking a meaningful bond. On the surface, the desire for intimacy is mutual and strong. But as they try to move closer, they hit these invisible lines. These are internal, unspoken rules they've drawn out of a simple fear of feeling uncomfortable or being misunderstood. These rules function as internal cages. We build them to avoid negative social labels, like being seen as difficult or desperate, trapping ourselves in a performance rather than showing our true selves. When we prioritize protecting a safe image over being honest, we practically guarantee the isolation we were trying to avoid in the first place. Alex's internal life is governed by a single, rigid command: I must not make anyone uncomfortable. This fear of being labeled selfish turns every interaction into a compromise. If Jamie suggests an exhausting plan, Alex simply agrees with a smile, believing it's better to be tired than to be seen as difficult. This habit of constant appeasement isn't an act of kindness. It is a slow erasure of a person's fundamental right to be an active participant in their own life. As this diagram shows, when we trade away our energy and our choices just to keep the peace, we lose our ability to make decisions that actually serve our own well-being. Making personal comfort secondary to someone else's ease makes Alex a passenger in their own relationship. Jamie, on the other hand, follows a different rule: I will never make the first move. This comes from a paralyzing fear that showing too much interest looks clingy or pushy. This internal law keeps Jamie passive. They hold back compliments and hesitate to ask deeper questions, waiting for Alex to take every lead to avoid the risk of being misunderstood. This creates a standstill. Despite a clear desire to connect, both obey fear-based rules simultaneously. Waiting for the other to act first, they remain stuck. Mutual waiting sets in. The fear of a label outweighs the desire for connection. It's a tragic outcome. The relationship fails not because they don't care about each other, but because they are both being too cautious to be real. This lack of directness forces a guessing game. Instead of asking what the other person thinks, they start trying to read minds, relying on unspoken assumptions that are almost always wrong. A cycle of avoidance begins. Alex might act distant after a tiring day without explaining why. Jamie sees that distance and assumes Alex is losing interest. They both pull back to protect themselves, and the gap between them widens. These misunderstandings eventually form a physical barrier. Every time they choose to hide a thought or a need, they add another brick to a wall made of their own fears. This creates a profound disconnect, a vast space between the deep, authentic relationship they both want and the careful, restricted version they are actually living. The very rules created to protect the relationship have become the primary force tearing it apart. Eventually, the energy required to maintain these safe personas runs out. After weeks of hiding their needs and guessing each other's feelings, the weight of the performance becomes heavier than the fear of being seen. Alex finally takes a risk. Instead of agreeing to a plan they don't want, Alex admits they need a quiet night alone. It's a small statement, but it intentionally breaks the rule that they must never be difficult. The expected rejection never happens. Instead, Jamie feels an immediate sense of relief. This moment of vulnerability changes everything. It proves that the social judgment Alex feared was entirely an illusion, and that being honest is actually the path to the connection they wanted. Seeing Alex take that step inspires Jamie to do the same. Jamie finally admits to holding back out of fear of being too much and asks for the chance to be more direct. By destroying their fear-based rules, they replace an architecture of avoidance with one of genuine dialogue. The very rules that once kept them apart now serve as the foundation for a real bridge between them. These internal blueprints are not warnings to be obeyed. Rather, they are barriers that only lose their power when we find the courage to step across them. Authentic connection is only possible when we stop trying to manage how we are perceived and start dismantling the invisible cages we build within our own minds.